Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts, and I am your host, Patrick Cristiano, the publisher of TheaterLife.com, a website for theater buffs in New York City and the Hamptons, and I am coming to you from the LTV studio in Wainscott, and I have my friend, a really dynamite actress, director, and the founding artistic director of Neo-Political Cowgirls, Kate Mueth. Kate,
Patrick.
Thank you so much for coming. I am thrilled to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. It's really exciting. You've got so much going on, and thank you for making time to get away, because I know you're rehearsing a show on Dramata that you're going to be doing in a couple of weeks. It's on August 29th out in Montauk, so I know you want to get in the studio and out as fast as possible. But we want to chat a little bit with you about your Neo-Political Cowgirls and how it came to be. So in 2007, was it? Mm-hmm. You founded, after being an actress for a while and a director, the Neo-Political Cowgirls?
Yeah. We're in our 10th season, which we're really excited about.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of astounding when you see something last that long, whether it be sometimes a marriage or, or a company, particularly a theater company. It's once you hit 10, you're generally going to be okay, and that doesn't ever mean you're going to be, you know, rolling in the dough, but at least you've got the habit of making work with no money. You've got it down.
You've survived. You've survived.
We just keep on going.
And you've produced artistic work in the process.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's everything. It's creating the content, producing the show, directing it, casting, top to bottom. Yeah. A couple of seasons ago, you brought something to New York, Eve, which was a really remarkable, unique theatrical experience. I mean, it was worthy of awards. It really was. It was fabulous. Thank you. Actually was born in this building upstairs. We had 2 seasons of it in the Hamptons in the summer, and then we took it off Broadway to the Gym at Judson in New York, down by Washington Square. And
that's my hood, you know. I bicycled over to see your
show.
show.
I know, right? And and so that happened there, and we're really proud of that. That was a big goal for us, was to get a show there, because it's really, you know, the heavy lifting of the work that we have to do to run a company like this is generally more than, you know, your normal off-Broadway production. Because you usually have like really solid producers.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you do versions of it in New York, in Germany, or something before?
We did the show Voyeur in Berlin. Yeah, and that's the show we took there. But that was completely different than the Voyeur we had here. We had a couple of versions of it here, and the one we took to Berlin was a brand new version. And really, voyeur as a title for our work is primarily a style of theater that we do, whereas the story can be changing, you know, and the content can change. But it's the style of how our audiences experience the story, which is usually walking outside a building, looking through the windows of the event. The actors are inside the building, and the audience is outside the building, or it's the audience walking to just look in room by room by room to watch a vignette unfold.
Well, you had some of those aspects in Eve that you did at the Judson Gym, too.
Yeah.
There were some sites where you were looking in from the outside of rooms.
Windows and rooms, and I'm pretty interested in as much in what you see on stage as I am in what you're not seeing. Like if you're looking through a window and you can see a body moving this way, and you can tell that they're saying something to someone, but you can't see the someone they're speaking to. For me, I find watching something like that just as interesting as seeing the whole thing. Maybe more interesting even sometimes, you know, just because I think it gets our curiosity going, and it makes us start thinking about, oh, what's the rest of the puzzle? What could it be? What do I think it is? And I think American audiences particularly could use a bit more curiosity when they come to a show, even if that's a Broadway show, even, you know, whatever it is. I think I find European audiences are much more excited by the unknown. They don't need a celebrity to headline a show to come see it. We couldn't get these people to leave afterwards.
How are you going to teach them to be more curious?
You just do it. For me, it's like keep staging things in a way that they're not used to having it.
Okay.
The first time we did Eve, we had this guy that we know who's a billionaire guy, very smart, loves art. But when he was going through Eve, and he was literally like, he was very nervous, and he was like, "Hey, what do I do? What are we supposed to do? I don't get it. What are we supposed to do?" Like, American audiences feel much safer being
You think we're
seated.
just an uptight society?
Well, we are a little, we are a little. Yeah, we are. And we also, I think we, as Americans, find that we want to know how we are supposed to behave before we go into a situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get that. But
We don't want to make a mistake.
we don't want to make a mistake. We don't, we don't want to stand out. We don't want to, and so.
That goes against your grain, doesn't it?
Well, I'm not like a showboater. Like I'm not.
No, but I mean,
I'm not a person personally
but
that
what I
likes
mean is,
to
you're
be.
a person that speaks their mind, and speaking their mind, it makes you stand out. You can't. It's part of what comes with the territory. But now I saw a dramata last year at the Montauk County Park. It was wonderful. Now it's going to be there again August 29th through September 3rd, and you've got the same woman, the Wanda, that's playing
The lead, the title
lead
character,
again.
yeah.
Now you brought some stills. Let's see the stills from the production that we have and show the audience. So what is this?
This was a rehearsal shot with, partial costumes. But that's Holly Beth Gourlay, who's actually an associate producer for my company, and she's helping produce it this year. This is the moment when, right after Andromeda has, she's been lashed to the rock, and she speaks to the sea monster.
Let's tell them what's happening with Andromeda, because we didn't even get into this
Yeah, well,
storyline.
she gets,
Andromeda is a princess?
She's an Ethiopian princess. In our story, she's now a refugee. She's been exiled with her mother.
But in the original story, she was a princess, and now she's a refugee.
Well, see, this is why I do. This is why I do these stories, because Andromeda and her mother Cassiopeia get like 2 sentences in the Odyssey, right? And this is the problem, is that so often in these myths upon which so many other stories in modern times are based, women are usually, they have a particular role. They either get raped, they either get sacrificed, or they get married off as a trophy. So when we see that Andromeda was worthy somehow of being a sacrifice by Poseidon and even her parents in the initial story, we were like, well, wait a minute, what is her story in all this? Like, what does she think of all this? Like, what is her history? And so that's what we're doing, is we're cracking open our own curiosity about, like, oh, what might have Andromeda's story been? Now, the refugee part comes in because through time, these characters have been whitewashed. They're Ethiopian, Cassiopeia and Andromeda, and so they're black. According to the movement of peoples at this time, they are black. But our European, writers and storytellers, any image you see of Andromeda is white. And so for me,
So she's been whitewashed throughout
Totally.
the ages.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
So you're bringing her back to her natural color. Now, and your Andromeda, she rescues herself, which is a whole brand new twist.
Right.
So she's
because Perseus in the story rescues her. So she goes from being worthy of being killed by a sea monster, but a man then comes and rescues her. But in the course of all those events, we don't hear anything she says, right? So we gave her a voice, and we made Perseus not the bad guy. In fact, he is still, in a way, the hero in our story, but he is a little late. He's running late, so he's late. But it's okay, because she has learned from her mother, though they have nothing, though they're lost on the road, though this particular weird village of people are not letting them drink water, not giving them a home, they're literally sleeping under this fountain in the center of town. Even though all of that, her mother reminds her, you have your language. You have the power of your words. You don't need to lose any of that, no matter where you are in the world. So Andromeda has this moment of essentially coming of age in a spiritual, metaphorical sense, where she finds her reason and her rational verbiage to speak to this monster that she now identifies with and understands.
Oh, wow.
And she speaks to her in this very beautiful, heightened plea of a poetic language, and convinces the sea monster to go under and go away. And in a way, she sets the sea monster free as well. And that's what was happening in that image, was the sea monster, which is created of 4 bodies, 4 performers. They melt down and then they go away.
That's terrific. Let's see the other clips, the other pictures. So this is Andromeda and
Cassiopeia. So it's Lawanda on the left and Lynette on the right. And this is our first rehearsal, getting the 2 of them together, doing some movement exploration.
Okay.
So this isn't text right now. This is just me leading them in a
what else do we have?
movement.
What's next?
That's Lawanda from last season.
Oh yeah,
in
last
the
season.
show.
Now we have a clip. Let's go to the clip. I want to show them the clip from.
Yeah.
Can we show the first clip of Lawanda in rehearsal? The Cape brought us.
You've traveled this long, you just have to go on. Don't even look back to see how far you've come. Though your body is bending under the load, there is nowhere to stop anywhere on this road. My heart is breaking, I cannot sleep. I love a man who's afraid of me. He believes if he doesn't stand guard with a knife, I'll make him my slave for the rest of his life. I love this hour when the tide is just turning. There will be an end to the longing and yearning. If I can stand up to angels and men, I'll never get swallowed in darkness again. Travel this long, you just have to go on. Don't even look back to see how far you've come. Though your body is bending under the load, there is nowhere to stop anywhere on this road.
So that's terrific. Now, what was happening there in that little scene? We didn't set it up.
That was when, so there's early on when Andromeda and Cassiopeia meet these odd villagers. Cassiopeia realizes, and this is something that actually, unfortunately, is quite common, as refugees, what mothers, and I'm sure fathers, but in this case mothers, have to do to protect their children at times. And so we see that Cassiopeia has gone off with the leader of this village to do what she needs to do to get food and perhaps shelter for her child. And this is when Andromeda is left alone in this village. She's wandering the streets of the village. She's frustrated, she's sad, she's scared, and she's waiting for her mother.
She's frightened.
Yeah.
She's really frightened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now when I went last year, it's such a dynamite setting. I mean, it's really seductive. You got a little bridge that you walk across to go to where the play is going to be held, and it's like a little knoll, and it's just, and it happens just as the sun is setting.
Yeah.
So then it gets dark. It's really cool. So it's October, August.
not October,
Not
you'll
October.
be
I do
late.
this all the time. But it's August. I'm getting ahead
I
of
won't be
myself.
there in October.
No, it's August 29th to September 3rd.
Yeah.
And they can get tickets at your website, Neopolitical.
Our website, which is npcowgirls.org, or brown paper tickets. You just search Andromeda.
Yeah, and it's her organization is a non-for-profit, and it's really fun. It's a great way to spend the evening. You can bring picnic food. You can do whatever you.
We encourage picnics.
Yeah.
It's really great.
So come early. It's a dynamite setting. Do you want to show the other clip of the show? You want to
Sure.
talk more?
I can't remember what I gave you.
You know, we don't have a lot of time because you're also doing something in Finland. I wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
What is that's happening?
I am working with a company in Finland, in Helsinki, called Tetin Sulatamo, which is a company that works with professional actors in Helsinki, and they bring in, as well, women who are dealing with mental illness to find their voice, to be part of the creative process. So we're creating this piece as part of Finland's centennial celebration, which has been taking place all throughout 2017 to celebrate. They've only been their own place for 100 years. Did you know that?
No, that's
Before that, Russia.
really.
Yeah. So they're having this huge celebration and it's fantastic creative stuff happening all over the country. And so we're part of this celebration, and so we're creating this new piece together called 100 Women, and it's created from all these different writings from actual women alive, friends of mine, friends of theirs, women from all over the world, bits and pieces of their writings about what it is for them, what it means to be female now, what they've come up against, whether it's a grandmother's story or something that they went through, and so it's all knitted together, and I'm choreographing it and helping with the concept, and so I go over there for a month in September.
September, wow.
Yeah.
And what's the show you're doing?
It's called 100 Women.
Oh, 100
Yeah,
Women.
yeah.
Oh, that's a great title. It's a great title.
Thanks.
Yeah. So now, I want to go back to Andromeda just for a second because we have a little bit of time, and we'll show the second clip.
And you don't hang with me. I'm a huntress. Where are you? Cause I'm lost at sea. Where are you? If I had you here, bring our hair together, I'd be boy and you'd be girl. Beautiful, calling when this wild world
Love is
is
late.
a big bag,
Come under the fountain.
pushing on my back.
Ah, I'm lonely. I know. And over time. What? Early tomorrow we walk again. Oh. The next town isn't all that far. Things will be better. Our world will be made right. So we can't stay here. I'm afraid not, my sweets. Come, let us rest.
Now, what just happened there?
So that is so Andromeda, in her loneliness and in our imagination, has, with her mother, been walking walking in this, it could be for 24 hours, it could be for 24 years, in this sort of timeless fashion across the globe. And she's been walking for a long time, and she's very lonely. And she's a girl of 14, so she's coming into the renaissance of her life, sexuality, and finding her way apart from her mother, and yet that's the only person she's with is her mother, and so she is obsessed with the stars, with the night sky, and she's always looking up, and she's always imagining to play with the stars, and knows them and points them out, and so she was looking for them. She was looking for the stars, and yeah, so her mom's trying to, that's just about right before Cassiopeia gives her big speech that Poseidon hears, Proteus and Poseidon hear, that creates the jealousy in them and the rage in them that makes her a sacrifice. In our minds, in the actual story, Cassiopeia is blamed for narcissism in this speech about praising her daughter. We changed it into a different situation where her mother is talking to her in order to help her feel better, in order to lift her spirits, because she's just doing what any good mother would do in a situation like this. Because for us, in a sociological situation, black women get cut down a lot for having too much pride, right? For how dare they have that kind of pride? You stop being so haughty.
We use that word uppity.
Uppity, yeah. I mean, and that's the situation. So let's turn the hell on its heel and turn it into something else and just use some curiosity and say, no, what if she's just a good mom and she's talking to her daughter in a way that any great mother would do to try to help her child feel better? So that we can try to take away this judgment, and that sends Poseidon into a rage because for him, he unfortunately is sexualizing his daughters, I think, in making it about beauty, competition between women, rather than, oh, we can all be beautiful, there's enough for everybody, right? You can be fantastic, we can all be fantastic and celebrate that.
So you've opened up this piece to look at a lot of different issues that are underlying the surface in a way. So this is really your creation. You wrote it, and you did everything.
I did everything, but I had a couple of people help with a couple of the scenes, script doctoring a little bit. J. Stephen Brantley helped with one of the scenes, and a poet named Jordi Alonso helped with the rock speech. And it keeps evolving. We don't work with the finished product.
Right.
We work with, here's the script that we have, and when the actors get it, we continue to let them bring to the table whatever they feel like their character might say. So we're in this, and this is why I keep bringing things back. This is why I bring work back, because theater is
it's a work in progress.
Always, and it's a very costly work in progress. It takes a lot of money to make it happen, and we don't have the luxury of just having a cast here at my disposal to work.
No, and how did you get her? Lawanda, she's the same one you had. She was fantastic. How did you find her?
She auditioned for me.
In New York?
In New York, yeah.
And so you just were lucked out to get someone so wonderful?
This is how it happens, yeah. Sometimes we get really lucky with these auditions, yeah.
And she's so committed to the piece, too, so it's really exciting.
It's not often that we all get to play a title character,
Now, the music, which I thought was one of the most wonderful elements of the piece.
Thank you.
How did that happen? And
I'm obsessed with music. I dig for music. I listen to it all the time. It's always, for me, at least up until this point, the starting place of the story for me. Yeah, and music is always where I start. Yeah. That's why we don't usually really work with the text a lot. This show has more text than we've ever had before, which is why it needs a lot of attention. And this is why, we could be working on this for another 6 years.
So, no, is this original music? How does it?
No, I don't. I've had composers say, hey, let's work together. And I can't yet, at least, work that way because I want to hear the music first. And I think I would be a very difficult person to work with if we are trying to create the music together, because I'm very specific and I'm very, I know what I want, and I know what moves me, and if it's not quite there, I don't want it.
Well, it makes sense that you say that you start with the music, because the music really drives this. I mean, besides the actors being the facilitators of it, it's the music that's really driving the show to a large degree. And I adored your set, so I'm really curious, since you said you have a new set designer because of problems with the wind out there. That that made them.
So Ray Levine is an exquisite set designer. And she would have been here with me today, except that she's working on the set right now. There's no rest for us for the next 3 weeks. But she's also in the show, because she's also a very talented actress. So she's got this whole new, her background is really in architecture, and she's incredibly smart about this. And so it's a new approach to it. I'm not going to say anything more than that, because it's kind of cool.
The sets you're talking about, the new sets. Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to come back to definitely
will.
come back to see the sets.
Yeah, and there's a couple different new numbers in it too.
Oh, really? Oh, yes.
We've expanded it just ever so slightly with one particular, number and a few other details. We're constantly reworking and reimagining and seeing what we can do with it more too.
And will Josh introduce it at the beginning again?
Josh is
I love
Proteus
that.
again.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love the whole thing of going across the bridge to where it was.
Yeah. What did you like about that? Like, what was that experience? Like, what was that?
It made you feel like you were part of you were a part of the town in a way.
That's right.
You were part of.
That's what we're going for. Good. Good.
And I got that right.
Good. Something went right. Yeah. Right.
So we're both managed to be on the same page a little bit.
Yeah. I usually don't really worry too much. People are like, "Well, what do you want the audience to feel?" And I said, "I don't care what they feel. It's not up to. It's up to them to
Believe it or
decide."
not, it goes so fast. We're running out of time. Thank you so much for coming.
Talking to you. Thank you so much.
Go see her at Dramada
Thank you.
in Montauk.
Thank you.